Great day, everyone, and welcome to our virtual class in BAM 6401 for Thesis Writing 1. Today is week 6 of our trimester, and the topic for our session is about research design. So what are the essential elements of the research methodology, or your chapter 3 in the documentation? So it includes the research design, population sample size and sampling technique, description of the respondents, research instrument, data gathering procedure, and analysis of data. So for now, we will talk about research design. At the end of the session, the student should be able to identify and describe the essential elements of the research methodology and be able to select the best research design for your thesis. Let's start with research design. The term research design is referred to as a master plan, a blueprint, and even as a sequence of research tasks and activities. In simple terms, it is a plan of the methods and procedures that is used by researchers to collect and analyze the data needed to achieve the researcher's main objective. Research design holds all the parts and phases of the research project together. A poorly developed design fails to provide accurate answers to the research question under investigation. Any personal, procedural, or methodological bias involved in the research design will have an impact on the entire research process. Therefore, developing a sound research design is an extremely important aspect of any research project. Most researchers broadly classify research design into two types, exploratory and conclusive. Furthermore, some researchers classify conclusive research designs as descriptive or causal. So here is to illustrate, research design can be exploratory, mostly qualitative in nature, or conclusive design, mostly quantitative in nature. And further, the conclusive designs can be descriptive designs and causal design. Therefore, there are three major classifications of research design: exploratory, descriptive, and causal. We begin with exploratory research design. So exploratory research design involves many qualitative data collection techniques, such as in-depth interviews, focus group, and projective techniques. So in-depth interviews are one-to-one interview with respondents. So parang itong ginagawa nila Karen Davila, Tina Muson Palma. So in-depth ang interviews. Yung isang question, may follow-up, nanganganak ng questions para talagang mahimay yung issue. So, exploratory research design can also have a data collection technique of focus group. Focus group involves a group of 6 to 12 respondents in a congenial setting. It is one of the most popular qualitative research techniques. So I don't know if you will remember the points of view ni Boy Abunda na meron siyang mga guests, panels, and then meron siyang grupo ng listeners, commenters, and everything. So, yan ay focus group. Katulad ng in-depth interview, meron nanganganak din ang mga question. Meron isang direction, pero may follow-up. So, in-depth din ang focus group. Projective techniques involve various psychological testing such as pictorial construction, word association tests, sentence completion tests, and role play. data collection techniques provide a lot of rich information, but at the same time is hard to interpret and involves limitation with regard to generalizability, reliability, and validity. Kasi nga, the focus group, they do not represent the entire population. So maaring the result of the focus group discussion will only be applicable to those that were involved. Hindi siya generalized. It cannot be applied to the whole population. Now, in terms of conclusive research, is conducted to test a specific hypothesis or examine specific relationships. The findings from the conclusive research are mostly generalizable, reliable, and valid due to the usage of structured research methods and rigorous statistical analysis. So conclusive research can be of two types, descriptive or causal. Descriptive research design is employed to describe a phenomenon or characteristics, a happening. It requires clear structure and a clear idea of what is being measured. So you just have to describe what is happening, describe the phenomena, describe the characteristics, describe the demographic profile of your respondents. Those are descriptive. Descriptive research can be further classified into cross-sectional and longitudinal research. When you say cross-sectional research, it involves collection of information from respondents at a single point in time. So isang beses lang tayo magsa-survey. For example, kumakain tayo sa restaurant and then meron pa survey sila ng customer satisfaction, ano lang yan, survey. It involves 5 questions, maybe the venue, the food, the taste of food, the price, the ambience, and the service. So cross-sectional, isang beses ka lang isa-survey. Whereas when I talk of longitudinal research, it involves repeated measurement from the same respondents over a long period of time. So kunyari, kayong mga estudyante, gusto kong i-test, gusto kong pag-aralan, ano ba ang inyong progress sa ating subject. So, meron tayong prelim exam, midterm exam, final exam. So, the same respondents, kailangan tinetest natin ng repeated measurements over a long period of time. Okay? So, to illustrate ang cross-sectional, different groups compared at the same time. Ito naman, same group compared over time. Same group 1, time 1, enable weight. Time 2, enable weight. Time 3, enable weight. Samantalang dito, isang evaluation lang. What about causal design? Provides answers to such questions by explaining which variables are cause, or the independent variables, and which are the effect, or the dependent variables. Causal research is most appropriate when the research objectives include the need to understand the reasons why certain phenomena happens as they do. To measure this, the data must be gathered under controlled conditions, that is holding constant or neutralizing the effect of all variables other than the causation variable. After neutralizing the effects of other variables, researchers manipulate the causation variable and measure the change in the effect variable. Experimentation as a technique is widely used in causal designs. There are two kinds of experimentation techniques: laboratory experiment and field experiment. Techniques for obtaining quantitative data. So, paano ko tayo makakagather ng quantitative data? Pag sinabi natin quantitative, numbers, figures, percentages, amounts, those are quantitative. survey method and observations are the two highly used techniques for obtaining primary quantitative data. Kapag survey method involve direct questioning of the respondents. There are several ways in which surveys are carried out, including personal interview, face-to-face, telephone interviews, mail interview, or online interview. So, pwede ka magpa-Google, Google form, pasagutan sa kanila, o kaya habang nasa telepono, tinatanong mo sila, and then nire-record mo yung tanong nila. Observations provide an opportunity to collect highly valuable behavioral information when used in right fashion. So, nag-observe ka. So, tinanong mo yung mga, kunyari, yung mga sa manufacturing field. Tinanong mo yung mga trabahador. Okay, ito, in-evaluate mo, siguro doon sa iyong questionnaire, sabi mo, tinanong mo, sumusunod ba tayo sa IATF, Safety and Health Protocols? Gumagamit ba tayo ng proper equipment, dress, boots? So, to confirm yung survey method, pupunta ka ngayon doon sa planta at ikaw ay mag-observe. Sabi nila, gumagamit sila ng hard hat, gumagamit sila ng boots. So, you want to confirm the result of your survey by personally observing the behavior of your respondents. Observation and survey methods provide complementary information and should be used as complementary technique rather than competitive techniques by researchers. Okay. So, punta tayo sa survey. Can be classified as descriptive, comparative, correlational, and evaluative. So, survey ito. So, ang kailangan dito, quantitative analysis. So, ito ay descriptive research. So, this research could be descriptive comparative, descriptive correlational, descriptive evaluative. So, descriptive, this design is utilized for the purpose of accurately portraying a population that has been chosen because of some specific characteristics. So, ano mga characteristic ng population? Age, sex, education, employment status, employed, unemployed, underemployed. Yan. It is also used to determine the extent or direction of attitudes and behaviors. For example, sabihin natin, what is the level of your agreement and disagreement on the issues? So, strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Yan. The purpose is to provide a picture of a situation as it naturally happens. So, use descriptive research design to describe the demographic profile of research respondents. Use descriptive research design to describe, for example, the perception of customers on the quality of products or services offered by a company. Describe the sales performance of a particular company. Yun. Descriptive, you are just describing. When you say comparative, the design is used to compare and contrast representative samples from two or more groups of subjects in relation to certain designated variables that occur in normal conditions. The results obtained from this analysis are frequently not generalized in population. So, you use comparative research design to, for example, compare the assessment of the effectiveness of leadership style as perceived by the managers themselves versus as perceived by their subordinates. I-compare natin. Ano ba ang sagot ng mga managers about their leadership effectiveness? And then, ano ba ang sagot ng mga kanilang subordinates? Pareho ba? So, let us compare. O, meron bang difference? Let's say, compare the academic performances of two groups of samples. Kunyari, one group under face-to-face learning methodology. Yung isa naman, full online. And then we compare. O kumusta naman ang progress? Kumusta naman ang academic achievement ng full face-to-face? And by kapareho lang ng academic performance ng full online, magkaiba ba? Ano ba ang similarity? Ano ba ang difference? So we are comparing two groups. Correlation. This design is used to investigate the direction and magnitude of relationship among variables in a particular population. Relationships could be positive or negative relationship. Kapag positive relationship, kapag mataas itong isa, mataas din itong isa. Kapag mababa, bababa din siya. So it is designed to study the changes in one characteristics or phenomenon which correspond to the changes on another or with one another. A wide range of scores is necessary to determine the existence of a relationship. And the sample should reflect the full range of scores, if possible, of the variables being measured. Use correlational design to establish relationship between gender and online shopping behavior. So, meron bang influence ang gender sa pag-shopping? Kapag babae ba, mas mahilig mag-shopping? Kapag lalaki ba, hindi? Or reverse? Kapag lalaki ba, mas mahilig mag-shopping, online shopping? Kapag babae, hindi gaano mahilig mag-online shopping. So, you correlate, establish the relationship between two variables. In this case, sex or gender and online shopping. Okay, another one is establish relationship between academic managers' competencies and the school's performance. O titingnan naman natin, himay-himay natin, kumusta ang qualification ng ating mga academic managers. Yung dean, yung coordinator, yan. So, kumusta ba ang kanilang competencies? Magagaling ba sila? And then, i-compare natin yan, i-correlate natin yan, ano ba ang achievement or performance ng school? Yan. Meron bang kinalaman yung high competence ng ating mga academic personnel sa school performance? So survey, to continue. Last is evaluative. This design involves making judgment of worth of value. It allows the researcher to delineate, obtain, and provide information that is useful for judging decision alternatives when conducting a program or a service. The evaluative design for can be formative or summative. So mag-evaluate ka. For example, kumusta naman ang operation sa ating manufacturing firm? Sumusunod ba ang mga tao sa SOP? Sumusunod ba sila sa guidelines kung paano mag-produce ng a certain product? So, ayun. So, titingnan natin yung process. In each process, dumadaan ba sila sa mga periodic checking, quality assurance, quality control, or summative? We evaluate the finished product. So, we test ngayon finished product, hindi na process, yung mismong product na. So, kumusta naman? Ang specification ba ay akma dun sa design? Wala ba siyang defect? So, the evaluative design can be formative or summative. Gagamitin natin, use evaluative research design to determine, for example, the impact of COVID-19 to the sales performance of a company. That is summative. So, ano ba yung sales performance? Determine the compliance of particular hotel to the health and safety protocol prescribed by the government. O siyempre, hindi mo na iintayin yung resulta na magkaroon ng COVID. So, doon pa lang sa pag-proseso, sa pag-receive ng guest, sa pag-process, sa pag-transact, hanggang sa pagdating sa kwarto, titingnan natin kung sumusunod na sila sa government protocol. So, you are just describing ulit. But, meron ka ng evaluation. Although sumusunod sila, marami pa rin loopholes, sumusunod sila ng napaka to the point na walang naiiwasan ng COVID transmission. So, pili kayo doon. So, let us compare. So, exploratory, descriptive, and causal. In terms of emphasis, kapag exploratory, discovery of ideas and insights. Kapag descriptive, frequency of occurrences. Di ba? Sa descriptive natin, gaano, ilan, how much, yun ang mga sinasagot natin. Causal, determine cause and effect. In terms of feature, kapag exploratory, flexible, unstructured, dahil sabi ko nga, pwedeng focus discussion or individual interview. Kapag naman descriptive, hypothesis-based, structured, ano yung sabihin structure? Yung tanong mo, meron kang predefined answers para doon lang iikot ang sagot ng iyong mga respondents. Hindi yung magtatanong ka ng what is your opinion about ganito? That is an open-ended question. Pwede yun sa exploratory but not in descriptive. Causal, meron tayong variable control, yung ating independent variable. Titingnan natin anong epekto niya kapag minanipulate yung independent variable. Titingnan natin yung resulta ng let's say performance, techniques used, exploratory, focus group, in the interview, mostly qualitative research. For descriptive, survey, observation, panel data, mostly quantitative research. And causal is experimentation. So, let's summarize. So, under the research design, you have two, exploratory and conclusive. In terms of exploratory, you can gather data through in-depth interviews, focus group, or projective techniques. On the other hand, for conclusive, it's still further divided into descriptive and causal. So it could be descriptive cross-sectional, descriptive longitudinal, it could be a survey, and observation. Yan. So for survey, apat, descriptive, comparative, correlational, and evaluative. So tingnan nyo, yung inyong bang research, ano ba ang direksyon? Ano kayang design ang appropriate? Ito ba ay exploratory or ito ba ay conclusive? So sa participants ko, ano bang kailangan? Just a focus group or magkikreate ako ng sample and then ibabato ko yun sa population sample size and then getting the target sample. For example, research design example 1. Sasabihin nyo kung ano ang gagamiting research design. The study used the survey approach of conducting research. So ayun na yung methods of data gathering, survey approach. Specifically, the descriptive survey utilizing correlation procedure. So tatlo agad yan. Descriptive, correlation, at saka survey. Now, explain research design. Bakit itong gagamitin mo? The principal purpose of the researcher was to discover how the groups of respondents assess the interpersonal and intrapersonal competencies of school managers and to find out the relationship of these competencies to the school's effectiveness. So the descriptive method was supplemented with documentary analysis of the school's teachers and students' performances as reflected by the performance appraisal for secondary school teachers and the documents available in the division office for the performance indicators as well as local documents available in the school for the awards received and the data for the school participation in the community. So sasabihin nyo, una, sinabi nyo, ito ang aking research method. Survey, descriptive, correlation. So, paano nyo i-apply? Yan, the principal purpose to discover how the person respond, assess the interpersonal and intrapersonal. So, dyan, descriptive. To find out the relationship, yan na yung correlation. And then, yung mga iba pang data, the revision of the performance indicators as well as local documents available in the school. Now, define yung descriptive, correlation research, survey research. According to Gay 1976, again, proper citation. Gay is the researcher or the theorist, 1996, when he published his work. Gay 1976 defined descriptive research as involving the current status of the subject of the study. This method of research is designed to gather information or of condition existing at a particular period. Again, similarly, meron naman tayong kinote na researcher. Travers in 1978 considered the descriptive method of research as a design that describes the nature of a situation as it exists at the duration of the study and explored the causes of particular phenomenon. Yan. So, tayo, dalawa yung sinabi nating author, si Gay at si Travers. Kasi sila nagbigay ng definition ng descriptive research. To continue, a correlation survey was used to relate the competence of the school managers to school performances. Kung natatandaan nyo, Irene Levy. Independent variable, dependent. Ang independent ay yung competence. Kasi iba-iba ang competence ng ating teacher. Diba? Pero iisa lang ang school performance. So titignan natin, may relationship ba, may relasyon ba yung competency ng ating mga instructor sa school performance. Again, let us define. A correlation survey was defined by Calmorin in 1998 as the study that determines the relationship of variables. It also determines the extent to which different variables are related to each other in the target population. It also ascertains how much variation is caused by another variable. Kung meron yung moderating variable. Measure of correlation determines the magnitude and direction. So, gaano ka related itong variables na ito? Or gaano ka hindi related? So, positive relationship, negative relationship. Okay, and that ends my presentation. For your additional reading, you can review the following websites: www.scriptr.com/methodology for the research design, descriptive research, correlation research, experimental research. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I am now ready to answer all your questions. But for the meantime, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining our virtual class. Keep safe, mga anak, and God bless.